Okay, so we're on the road to Scotland. It's an 8-hour drive, and I've had loads of people asking me production questions on socials for like forever, and I really want to answer them all, but I haven't got around to it, so I thought I could answer loads of them in one go while we're on motorway. Can you just show some motorway? So yeah, let's get into it. These will come from Instagram and Facebook. So first one is Jack Lott. He says, do you make your own drum samples? In general, no. There's a ton of cool samples. Well, there's more samples than you could ever possibly listen to on Splice Sounds. So just get on there, find some on there. I would recommend looking in places where you don't think other people will have already looked. So if you're making house music, don't go straight to the house music pack, go to some other pack, and then you might find some stuff that still sounds amazing but doesn't sound like everybody else. When I first started doing music, I did a lot of like ripping drums from other people. So like get someone's track, and then maybe there's an intro or outro where the drums are really clean, cut the hi-hat out, cut the kick out, cut the snare out. I kind of used to do that quite a lot. I'm not going to tell you whose tracks because I could probably get sued, but yeah, I've done that occasionally as well. So yeah, kind of be creative with it, but I don't think I would ever really make my own. Okay, next one, Matt Wells. He says, how do you make them bass lines in Massive? Square wave? I think he's talking about the like famous James Hype Respace sound. You hear it in Love Shy Remix, you hear it in More Than Friends VIP, Gold Digger VIP. If that's the sound that he's talking about, it is basically a Respace patch from a really popular sample pack in Massive, played too high on the keyboard. That's as simple as it is. It was one of them things where it was like happy accident, because like you're not supposed to play the bass up there, you're supposed to play it down there, but then when I played it up there I was like, oh shit. So yeah, it's really not very complicated. Just all I'd say is experiment by doing some things wrong, and something right might happen. Okay, next one, Cromstagram. He says, tell us about your inspiration and what you enjoy about the production side of things. Okay, my inspiration is purely clubs and being a DJ in clubs. Like, the reason I started producing music is because I was making these mashups to play in my DJ sets, and I kind of evolved it from mashups to adding extra drums, adding extra bass. Before you know it, you're producing a whole track, and then I would go to the club where I was DJing and play the track. So yeah, that's where the inspiration has always been for me, and if I ever get stuck, that's like my default for where to go back to. So like after I finish the DJ gig, I always have so much inspiration to make music, and it's annoying because you can't always keep that inspiration with you, because for me it comes from the clubs. What you enjoy about the production side of things, I like the really geeky shit. So I like sound design a lot at the moment, like making like weird noises, making a specific sound into something huge. Yeah, like I like the nitty gritty of it. I actually enjoy like mixing and stuff as well. The geekier the better, really, for me. Okay, next one, Strike One Music. He says, how do you make your basses? Okay, so I've got a couple of go-tos for bass. If it's kind of like a tech house vibe, like something rolling, I'll go straight to Arturia Mini V3, which is Moog emulation. You can get it for about, I think it's about 100 quid. It's a really good soft synth. Like, it has a real realness to it, and it kind of sounds like a real Moog. I know a lot of guys use this for tech house type stuff. And there's a preset in it. If you go on bass, there's a preset called Club Sub, and that literally sounds like so many tech house tunes. I've got another go-to which I use quite a lot, called a VST called Hydra, which not a lot of people use. I saw it on a tutorial years ago, and I was like, oh, okay, this looks dope. And I think it's made for like drum and bass music. There's a lot of drum and bass presets in there. but it's really good for low end. So yeah, I'll use Hydra quite a lot, and then Massive. Like, the thing for me with Massive is it's the first VST I've ever used ever, and when I started making music, like maybe 6 years ago. So I've been using Massive for so long that I know how to make Massive do anything. So you give me a Massive preset that sounds sort of what I'm looking for, I can turn it into exactly what I'm looking for. Do you know what I'm saying? So that's why for me Massive is just, I don't think it's that capable of making a huge low end where the Moog and the Hydra are, but in terms of other sounds, Massive, I can make Massive do almost whatever I want. So yeah, if I'm looking for a specific type of sound, I'll be straight to Massive. Next one, DJ Ollie Red. He says, just starting out and Ableton is kicking my ass. Any tips? When I was starting with Ableton, the thing that I love about Ableton is you don't have to start by making a record. You can start by adding something to somebody else's record, because Ableton can warp the record and make it part of your project. You can take somebody else's record, chop it up, add some extra drums, maybe even add a bass line to a section, and you're like meeting halfway. You're not quite producing a tune, but you're still producing. So maybe that's a good way to learn, rather than going in at the deep end and trying to make original music straight away, which might be like really off-putting if you find it hard. Also, Ableton, every feature within it can be saved as a rack, like an instrument rack, an effect rack. A lot of people give these away to download, like the racks that they've made. A lot of people give them away to download. I know when I first started out, there's a guy called Ill Gates, ILLGATES, like Bill Gates, but without a B. And he makes like some weird drum and bass type music. I'm not a massive fan of his music, but he's always been good for Ableton tutorials, and he used to give away all these effects racks. The effects rack is basically a load of Ableton racks combined together to make one feature, which is controlled by like one knob, and he's assigned all these to this thing. And if you use his rack, A, it's cool because you get this cool sound that his rack gives you, but B, you can also look into the rack and you can look at the details and what it's actually doing within it, and then you can actually understand what's going on inside it. So maybe that's a good way to learn. Next one, DJ Stace. He says, how do you make the kick really punch through everything? One key to this is a good kick. Obviously, good sounds, you need good sounds, but there are so many different types of kicks. Like, some people have really low kicks. I like really MIDI kicks. So the key is not so much the kick itself. Obviously, if your kick is dead, it's never going to fucking punch. But the key is not the kick itself. The key is making everything else get out of the way of the kick. So you need to make sure that you're ducking the bass and you're ducking any low mid frequencies out of the way of the kick. Like, I'll use LFO Tool, which is the same sort of thing as Nicky Romero sidechain, I think it's called, and it's a VST that does sidechain for you. I'll also use a tool called Volume Shaper, which is the same thing, but it's a multi-band tool. So you can remove, you can duck the bass every time the kick hits, but only in the very low end. So it's about carving out a space for the kick. It's about making sure nothing is hitting at the same time as the kick, which is in the same frequency as the kick. And that's it really. And then when it comes to the mix and the master, you want to make sure the kick's the loudest thing in the track straight up. Like, your kick should be hitting 0 dBs when you get to the final limiting on the master. That's the one kind of golden rule, I think. Next one is from Priv Jake Wincott. Best place to get samples for house and tech, Splice, etc. Obviously Splice is good. Obviously you already know about Splice. Splice is dope. Splice is the one. Splice has replaced all the other loop masters and all that. But what I would say, if you're looking for something specific, if you're looking for a specific genre or whatever, go have a look at someone's music, chop the shit out of it. Like, if you go for, say your favorite guy is Mark Knight, go get a Mark Knight tune. Go to the intro, the outro, find a bit where it's really clean, where you can hear just that hi-hat by itself or just that clap by itself, and then chop it out, and then save it, and then put it in your track. Don't tell anyone, ever. That's, yeah, that and Splice. Obviously I would never do that though. I've heard people do it. Alright, next one. James Sullivan. Would you recommend a MacBook for music production, or can you use other laptops? I've only ever used a MacBook because I always thought that they were better than PCs. Like, I know that you can build a PC with a higher spec, but I'm not really interested in that. I just want something that works straight out of the box and it's not going to let me down when I need it. So that's why I like a MacBook. Obviously it's expensive. Obviously you can use another laptop. Loads of people do. Like all of the trap producers, Metro Boomin, Murder Beats, all those guys, they all use Windows because they all started out on Fruity Loops, and Fruity Loops only recently came to Mac. So yeah, loads of people use Windows. One thing I would say that I love about my setup is I'm on a MacBook Pro. Even when I'm in the studio, I just plug in a big screen to the MacBook Pro, plug in the speakers. The beauty of that is that I can go to anybody else's studio and still have all of my shit there. Whereas, say I had an iMac or something, or a Mac Pro, I wouldn't be able to carry that to somebody else's studio, so I wouldn't be as flexible. And one thing when you start like collaborating with a lot more people is you start working out of your own studio a lot more. Like maybe I'm traveling on the road because I'm DJing. If I can keep my whole setup with me all the time, just plug in some headphones and I'm off. So portability, that's the key. Next one, Lewis Spencer 98. He says, how do I get my music more recognized and make it big? I think the key to this is consistency. I think that you can make one incredible record and people won't even notice. But if you make 30 good records, people will notice. So there was a period at the start of my career where I was releasing one remix every single week. And I was pretty committed to this. Like, I took it quite seriously. Like, I know there were weeks where I was like beating myself up because I was like, I've got to get this finished. And some of those remixes, I would cringe if I heard them now. Like, they're not great at all. But there's something about the consistency of doing that puts your name in people's heads. And as soon as your name is in people's heads and they think, oh yeah, James Hype's that remix guy, I've got a few of his remixes, then you've got that platform so that when you release the next thing, they're already looking out for it. And that's the key. If you can keep building that platform, one day you're going to release a tune that's a madness and the platform's going to be there and they'll be like, oh, Lewis Spencer 98, he's just released a tune, I'm going to listen to this because this stuff's always good. Do you know what I mean? So it's consistency. Just keep doing what you're doing and you'll improve with every, like, you might put stuff out now and it's really not that good. It might be the best thing that you can do, but it might not even be good. I don't know your music, so it's not a personal comment. But yeah, you might put something out and it might not even be that good, but every time you release, you're going to get better because the finishing the tracks is part of the process, I think. Okay, next one, DJ Mental Monkey. I literally can't think of anything to make. How do I overcome that? I've been in this situation before, but I don't find myself in it very often. I'm always kind of balancing a few projects. So if I end up hating the project that I'm currently working on, I'll be like, I can't be bothered with this. I've hit a brick wall with it. I'm gonna go work on something fun. I'll always have something on my heart. Say I'm working on something really difficult, like a song, and I just get stuck on it and I get annoyed. I'll always have something really fun on my hard drive, like a bootleg that I'm making just for a club set. And say if it's a really housey bootleg, then I'll already have this vision in my head of it going off in the club, and that's kind of where my inspiration comes from because I'm always inspired by the clubs. So yeah, if I'm ever stuck, I'll always just go back to that. I'll be like, fuck it, make something for the clubs. If you're really stuck, I would recommend go to some clubs, go see some DJs, go see what people are playing. Something's going to inspire you, or go listen to something, like listen to a mix, but not something that you would usually listen to. Maybe a mix by somebody like Jaguar Skulls is really good because he gets so many records in there and he'd be like, oh yeah, that's sick. I would never have thought of that. So yeah, there's there's always something to listen to that can inspire you, I think. Next is MRG DJ. Top 3 VSTs and why these. I haven't pre-planned this, so off the top of my head, I am going to say Massive for reasons I've already spoken about. I know it inside out. I feel like I can make nearly any sound with it, and there's also so many presets for it already. Number 2, FabFilter Pro Q2, which is an EQ. I bought it about 3 years ago, and I've used it literally on every single time I need an EQ since then. Before that I was using the Ableton EQ, and I know I compared the waveforms like before and after. So you did like a hard low cut on the Ableton EQ. It's not really hard low cutting it that much. If you compare the waveform, you're still seeing a bit of low end after it. But if you do a hard low cut on the Pro Q, then it really does exactly what it says it's doing. So yeah, I feel like it's really specific. It does exactly what it says it's doing. It doesn't use much CPU either, because I'll run like 100 of them on some projects, and it's all good. Yeah, they've just released FabFilter Pro Q3. I haven't tried it yet, but I am quite keen to try it. Third favorite. Oh, you know what? Gonna go cliche as fuck. Third favorite, Korg M1, because you can make really corny, cliche sounding shit with it, but it also is the only way to get a certain authentic sound of 90s dance music. So when used correctly, when used in a quality way, it's the fucking shit, man. Like, I worked with somebody the other week who's like a hip-hop producer, and I played him a record and it had piano on it, and he was like, whoa, what's that piano from? And it was the M1, and because he's a hip-hop producer, he didn't use the Korg M1. He was using like loads of like high-end piano plugins, and I was like, no bro, it's Korg M1, it costs like 30 quid. It's like the most overused plugin in the world, but the piano in the M1 only sounds like an M1, and it sounds like so many MK tunes. It sounds like Robin S, Show Me Love. It sounds like so many old tunes, and it's actually capable of so much. Like, it's good for dance music strings and stuff as well. It's really good. I feel like it kind of gets a bad name because it gets overused for a lot of cliche tunes. All right, this is from LBen42. It could be IBen42. And I'm sorry if I've got your name wrong. How long does it take to make a track? That's an interesting question. This is a very interesting question, because I believe that the best shit is made in about 10 minutes. That doesn't mean it's finished in 10 minutes, but the best shit happens like that. Like, sometimes I've made tunes up here before I've even started. Like, I already know what I've got to do. The time is just taken to execute it. Like, quite often I'll make a voice note on my phone of something. Like, I'll sing a bass line into my phone and I've already heard the whole tune in my head. Then I've just got to put it together. Obviously that's not as easy as it sounds sometimes. Other times it is. Like, I've got a couple of records where they've just been so fast, and version 1 has been the one. And yeah, I think the best things are made very quickly. Like when I did Drake Hotline Bling remix, I think that literally just straight out of the box. First idea I had, boom, there it is, and the world loved it. So it's dead simple. There are, on the flip side, like, there are other tunes that I've taken a long time over, and they've turned out well. Like Christine Blonde and James Hyde Love Shy. I spent months on that. I hated it. Even when I finished it, I was like, it's all right, and that did really well. I like it now. But I think I just got so annoyed with the process that I didn't even like it at the end. More Than Friends VIP mix, that took me a long time. It's very difficult to remix your own tune though. When I say like a long time, like at the moment I'm working on a VIP remix of my new single. I've been working on it for months, but I'm not working on, one thing that I'm always very careful of, I'm not working on the same track that I was working on 2 months ago. Like, one thing I think is very important is deleting shit. Just delete shit. Like, if you start overcooking the track, it's just gonna turn into a fucking mess. You're gonna lose sight of where you wanted it to go. So when I say I'm working on this remix for 2 months, I'm saying yesterday I turned up to the studio, started a new Ableton project, dropped the acapella in and said, right, let's go. Do you know what I mean? So it's a fresh thing, because I know one day, if I keep doing that, one day I'll start that process and within 10 minutes I'll be like, oh shit, we got a banger. So yeah, in an ideal world, you make a track very quickly, because I feel like they're the best ones. But sometimes it takes a long time. But it's important to know when it's a long time, you still need to keep starting the process again. Don't keep getting hooked on that same idea, because if you're still trying to do that same idea 2 months later, the chances are it's not meant to be. So you kind of got to believe in fate there a little bit. Alright, so the next one is from Matt Wells DJ. How did you make the lead sound in Litness remix? Massive or a vocal? Alright, so this is made in a synth that I haven't talked about at all. It's called Isotope Iris, and it's basically like a sample player, but you can play like 4 samples at once and do like wild shit to the sample, and then you get like full envelope control over the sample, filters on the sample and stuff. It's really fucking cool. And I dropped 4 samples into Iris, so it's 4 samples playing at once, with like the filter going like wah 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 wah, because the lead sound is the in the Litness remix. I then stacked it, did like 2 octaves of it, ran an OTT compressor over the top of it, a shit ton of distortion, bounced it to audio, chopped it out, cleaned it up, because when you add OTT compression, it's going to bring out all the reverb tails, it's going to bring out loads of noise that you don't want. So if you use the OTT compressor and then bounce to audio and then chop out all the shit, like physically, like take that piece, delete, that's kind of how I ended up with such a big sound. But yeah, Isotope Iris. You could pretty much do it with any synth, but I just bought that synth at that time, so I was excited by it, and yeah, that was that one. Final one is Jack Goodfellow, and he says, do you mix/master your own tracks? The answer is almost always yes. There are a couple of exceptions. My 2 singles with Warner, No Drama and More Than Friends, they were both mixed by Wes Clark, who's a Grammy-winning mix engineer. The record label wanted him to do it because he's better than me at mixing, obviously. Not gonna sit here and deny that. And they were then mastered by Wired Masters after. And I was really happy with the results. When Wes Clark mixed those, I was on like a back and forward dialogue with him the whole time, because I'm very particular, because I've always mixed my own stuff. So he sends me something over and I'm going to hear something straight away. I'm like, no. So we did like 16 versions of More Than Friends before I was happy. So he must have hated me. Everything else, I mix and master myself. I've just always done it, and I'm quite a control freak. So I know that if I mix and master it myself, then I know exactly how it's going to sound. I remember when I first started out doing official remixes for record labels, one of the first ones I did, I sent my master off to the record label, and they were like, oh no, you're not mastering it, our guy's going to master it. So I was like, okay, I'll take my mastering off, send you it back over. And then they sent me the master back, and it was fucking shit. Like, they'd like removed all the top end, and like there was nothing wrong with the one I sent them, but this one's actually bad. It's not even like, oh, just same standard. Like, I don't know who the hell they'd gone to, but it was actually terrible. Yeah, so I'm because I come from clubs, I'm a DJ, so I road test a lot of stuff. So there'll be a lot of tunes where I'll mix and master it, I'll play it on my set, I'll be like, no, it's not right. It's too much mid-range, the kick's not hitting hard enough, whatever, go back, redo it. I also like to mix into the master, so I like to put loads of compression on the master, loads of exciters and stuff, and then mix into that, because then I kind of feel like that's just kind of how I'm used to mixing. because then it feels a lot closer to the finished product, and I feel like it's easier to reference another finished product. Say if you're A/B-ing it with a finished tune, it's a lot easier to do that if yours is equally slammed as the finished tune while mixing. So yeah, in general, I mix and master everything apart from when a big major label's involved and they want to get someone else to do it. Thank you guys. Do another one of these next time. I've got, well, you know what, I've got another 5 hours in this van, so I might do another one in like an hour or something. Oh yeah, quick thing, if you are a producer and you are not already in James Hype producer group on Facebook, it's a closed group. You have to apply to be a member, but we've got a really active community where everyone shares music, helps people out, shares ideas and stuff. I think can you search for it? Yeah, I'll put a link in the description as well though. James Hype producer group. Yeah, there's a couple of guys in there that you've probably heard of as well. A couple of producers who've got a bit of a name for themselves. I try and get involved in there as much as I can, and it's just about producers helping other producers of all levels to level up. Yeah, so if you're not already in the group, go check it out. Criteria for entry: you must have released a track, whether it's on SoundCloud or Spotify. As a producer, you must have produced a track, and you must have finished the track and put it out. That is the criteria for entry. So yeah.